video, I will walk you through how we can optimize performance in React application, whether you are working on a small project or a large scale app. These techniques will help you make your app faster and more efficient. So firstly, how we can do performance optimization in React. So firstly, we can use memoization to avoid unnecessary re-renders. Use use memoization to avoid unnecessary re-renders. Okay. So first, avoid unnecessary re-renders. First, let's talk about unnecessary re-renders in React components. Re-renders when their state or props change, but sometimes a component re-renders even when nothing actually changed, and that affects performance. To avoid that, we can use React.memo to memoize functional component. So React skips rendering if the props haven't changed. So we can use React.memo. Okay, it is the first one. So in that, simply we can use React.memo, and in that, after, if we have like memoize expensive calculation, memoize expensive calculations. So in that, if you are doing heavy calculations like sorting or filtering large arrays, you should use memo. Like this hook memorize the results, so it only recalculate when the data actually changes. So in that case, we will use like use memo for heavy, like expensive calculations. So similarly, like we can use callback helps when passing function to child components. It keeps the same function reference between renders, which prevents unnecessary re-renders. Similarly, we can use also use callback. Use callback. Use callback. So this is the first of use memoization to avoid unnecessary re-renders. And the second is split code and load lazily. Split code and load lazily. So first, when your initial load is slow, like when initial load is slow, so we can use dynamic import with react.lazy and suspense to load heavy component only when needed. Use dynamic import with react.lazy with react.lazy and suspense suspense to load components only when needed. Okay, so we can simply use react.lazy and then suspense. Okay, so next is like virtualize long list. So in that, Third is virtualize long lists. So when rendering large list, example like 1,000 items, use React window or React virtualize to render only what the user sees. When rendering large lists, for example, for example, like 1,000 plus items. So we use React window or React virtualized to render only what the user sees. What the user sees. The user sees. So it is the third one. And the next is fourth. We can use throttle or debounce high frequency events. Throttle or debounce for high frequency events. So in that, when your app lags during typing typing in search input, window resizing and scrolling, so use lodash.debounce or lodash.throttle. App lags during typing in search input, search input, and then window resizing, window resizing, and then scrolling. So we can use elbow lodash dot debounce bounce or this dot throttle. And the next is so in that, optimize context uses. Optimize context uses. Usage. When context causes too many re-renders. Like first of all, when context causes many re-renders. So, so in that we can like split large context into smaller ones. Avoid using context for fast changing values like scroll or mouse options. So in that, split large context into smaller ones, and then avoid using context for fast changing values like scroll option, mouse option. Okay, so this is the fifth. And the next is reduce re-rendering of child components. Reduce re-rendering of child components. So in that we can like reduce, like use key props properly in list, and avoid inline function and objects in JSX. So first one is use keys properly in list, and avoid avoid inline functions and objects objects in JSX. Okay, and then next is use production build. Basically we can use production build. So always build your app with like npm run build. Always build your app your app with npm run build. Okay, so this is the minifies JS and CSS and remove dev only warnings, optimize React or speed. Okay, and the next is okay, use efficient state management. When state changes frequently, like keep local state, example form inputs inside components. Use global state only when necessary, redux, gesture and etc. Like for large apps, split state into slices to avoid re-rendering everything. Use efficient state management. Okay, when state change frequently. When state change frequently. And the next is profile and repeat. Profile and repeat. So optimization is not a one-time task. It is used developer tools like regularly to profile performance, watch for slow updates, measure render time of component. Optimization is not a one-time task. Okay. So that is the all the point how we can do performance optimization in React. Okay, so the final is like we can say like use React.memo where needed, memoize function with use callback, memoize calculation with useMemo, lazy loaded components, virtualize large list, debounce and inputs and scrolls, is used production build, cleaned up side effects, split large contexts. And in that one point also like identify performance bottlenecks, like before optimization, like which components are re-rendering too often, and we can use like tools like React Developer Profiler, Chrome Performance Tab, console logs, example render functions. So these all are the performance optimization in React. Thank you.